Everybody living in a perfect world. Everybody's out there crying to be heard. But I got a new fire burning my heart, lighting up the darkness and moving like a meteorite. Oh, fire! Oh, fire! Oh, falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. Now I believe. Oh, fire. Oh, fire. Oh, fire. Oh, fire, fire, fire. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith.
Hi, welcome to ReneMarie Stroke. I'm ReneMarie. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is such an important time in our lives to really reflect and to spread the love and be at peace and actually what just happened to us on this show was a prime example of just staying centered and keeping ourselves balanced and not letting anything get in our way. We were having technical difficulties. We were supposed to start at 10 o'clock, and we had to really just use the practices that we work on so much. I was like, Karen, I gotta stay centered. I gotta stay centered. And it's not about the time, because of course we have plenty of time now, but it was about Karen's time. Karen could have had something to do at 10:15. No, and my next guest, he's got something to do at he's on a church service, Frankie. So it's like, I was like freaking out. I never really get nervous, but I want to respect Karen's time and Frankie's time and everybody's time. But the truth is, time is not in our hands. And that's a perfect segue into this show. We're so blessed to have a dear friend and really a renowned medium, Karen Noe. Welcome, Karen. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining us today. We need to hear from you so that you could give us a little bit of hope. And the truth is, you just wrote a book when did you write that book, We Consciousness?
That was 2 years ago.
2
That
years.
was my book. Yeah. Yeah.
So how prevalent it is today.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Karen, before we begin, we really want to acknowledge those on the front lines, those that have passed. Have you communicated with any of the people that have passed?
No, not yet. It's very soon, and I'm sure they're with their families, and I've been home,
Right.
so they know to just come to me, unless their loved ones come to me in the center at my office. They would say, come to me. But, all this is happening, and it's very difficult to understand. Even for me, I can't understand it. It's all happening for a reason. And to understand that this is the only way that all of us could stay centered and to be at home and to make a difference in our lives. We are all connected, and we can actually see this connection. Even though we're secluded, we could feel our connection right now. I mean, we're doing this online.
Right. So, right. We are all connected, and it's so funny because one of the things that I kept hearing was, as much as I am keeping you apart, you need each other more than anything right now. You need to work together. You need to have a common goal, and that is healing the world, Karen. We're not even talking about our little area. We're talking about the world. Yes. We're all one. We're all doing this together now. And to understand, what happened on one part of the world is affecting us. But we could do that in a positive way. What happens here, we could affect the whole world in sending our love to everyone and everything and really make a difference. Right. So that's what's important, to make sure that each one of us, every single one of us are miracle workers. We have to know that. We have to remember that. The only difference between a miracle worker and one who's not is that the miracle worker remembers who they are. That's it. Right? So how do we get more into that? Like, how do you know? I mean, because most people they're afraid right now. Of course. They're afraid, especially those that don't still have jobs and been furloughed and have no income and are on unemployment, but that's not enough, and got that money from the government, but that's not enough. So what do they do, Karen? This is the most important thing to understand, is that we are vibrational beings. Whatever we're thinking and feeling, we're creating more of in our lives. Okay, do you know about the law of attraction? Right. You don't have to believe in it to know that it exists. Just like gravity, we don't have to believe in gravity to know that we're not floating around, right? So to understand that no matter what happens in the world, no matter what happens in our country, in our city, it doesn't matter. We have to focus on what we want rather than what we don't want. Focus on solutions rather than the problems. I'll give you an example. Many years ago, first of all, as you were stating before, I am a psychic medium. And in order to connect with deceased loved ones, I have to keep my vibration high, right? And at about 20 years ago, I was going through a difficult time in my life. So it wasn't always easy to do that at that time. And I'm bringing this up to show you what we can do now to focus. Right. So at that time, in order to connect with deceased loved ones, I had, no matter what was going on in my life, I had to focus on what I wanted, focus on positive, focus on love. Easier said than done. But for me, what had happened is I looked on YouTube. And on YouTube, I just Googled puppies, running around, or babies laughing or something. What I did was I changed my focus on what was wrong to what made me happy. Right. I didn't want to do it in the beginning, and I walked into my office and I was, angry and so forth. And within a few minutes of seeing the puppies running around or the babies laughing, I was able to raise my vibration, and so I was able to connect with those, who passed as well. Now, I can't see myself on the screen. Am I on there? Yes, you are. You are. I just want to make sure. I see you. You're here. I'm looking at your beautiful face. Good. So that's what people can do. And also in my book, Your Life After Their Death, that's another book that I wrote. I wrote about the techniques when people are going through grief. And we're grieving our jobs, our loved ones. Yeah. Going outside, we're grieving.
And I talk about the many things that we could do to heal our grief. One of it is called tapping. Did you ever do tapping?
I know about tapping. Yes.
Dancing.
Yes. But tell it, Karen, explain to us. I mean, I know what tapping is, but explain to us what tapping does. Like, why does it work?
Well, what happens is we have acupuncture points on our body that correspond to negative emotions. Now, when I first found out about this, I thought it was goofy. I didn't understand how that could possibly work and so forth. Long story short, series of events, the book fell off my shelf when somebody was coming to see me, the book on EFT. Fell off my shelf. I opened it up and it was exactly what I needed to hear. But if we tap on these acupuncture points on our body as we're experiencing a negative emotion, that's as we're experiencing the emotion, it actually moves the energy out and we feel so much better. I've had people who've come to see me in my office who said to me that, they've been through many years of therapy and that years of therapy didn't come close to a couple of rounds of tapping. And we don't have time today to show you exactly, how to do it, because I do teach classes. I could send notes on tapping notes that I use.
Yes. And send to us as well where they could engage in your tapping classes later on, okay? So that
I know all classes are canceled, but if they wanted to email me, I could send them my tapping notes. I also, I have regular events such as this, and I wanted to share a tapping because I did the other day. I worked with my son. He works for Humanities Team, and there was a woman who was going through a lot of grief because all of her loved ones were on the front line.
Wow.
And so we actually got her on the screen and we did a little bit of the tapping. That's tapping on these acupuncture points, and we could see it actually worked pretty quickly,
Right.
But key to tapping, and when you're learning it, and when you could Google go on YouTube and Google tapping Nick Ortner.
Okay.
Okay, and you could see tapping Nick Ortner anxiety. And the most important thing to know, when you are doing the tapping, you have to bring up the emotion and then tap. Because if you're just tapping and you're just saying, I am so upset, I cannot take it anymore, it doesn't work. So
right. It doesn't know what emotions you're focusing on at that particular moment.
Bring it up, and as you're bringing up the emotions, it stores the energy in these certain points. You tap on the points, it moves the energy and so forth. It shows that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. It's not the other way around. It's the energy of who we are that's real.
Right. Well, yeah. Just so we could stream the tapping document online if you don't mind. That would be awesome, so that we could help those that are really going through a tough time right now. So Karen, I know that you. Let's talk about Dr. Wayne Dyer a little bit, and then we'll get to why I brought him into the conversation. So I know the story, but tell us a little bit about the story of why and how you connected with his children.
Well, it was a series of events that led to our meeting. I was scheduled to meet to speak for a Life After Death conference in Orlando, Florida. And it happened to be about 2 weeks after Dr. Wayne Dyer had passed. And they were going to do a tribute. I'm just talking to a blank screen. I hope you could see me.
Yes, I could see you.
Yes.
Right. I know.
All right.
You're talking to a blank screen?
Yeah.
You don't see anything? You don't even see me?
I see the handsome gentleman. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So
yes, we're on because I'm running and I'm also streaming it on Facebook.
All right.
And we're both on.
All right. So I was scheduled to speak for Life After Death in Orlando, Florida, for my publisher, Hay House, and they were going to pay tribute to Dr. Dyer. He's showing me a picture. Thank you. He was also a Hay House author. And so they were going to do a tribute, the Hay House authors, as well as, people in the area. So they had a bus for the Hay House authors and Wayne Dyer's family going from the hotel room over to the conference center where we were going to have the tribute. And there was one seat available. It happened to be next to me. And in walks his daughter, Serena Dyer. And the rest is history. So it's a very long story. And consecutive events led to them coming from Florida. He has 8 children and a wife. And 3 of them flew in from Florida for an appointment for a reading in New Jersey. And he came through loud and clear with very specific messages, very personal messages that no one would know. Right, and they knew without a doubt that he was coming through. But the reason why we're talking about this today is not really about him coming through for Wayne Dyer's family.
Right, absolutely.
What he brought through, he started to join. So we knew without a doubt that he was coming through for his family, and it was really him. He came through with very information that no one would know. Yeah. So then we knew it was really him. And then when he came through with the other information, we're saying, okay, this is really Wayne Dyer. And he joined forces with a group consciousness called the We Guides, which included St. Francis of Assisi, Ascended Angels, Ascended Masters, Angels, and so forth. And they called themselves the We Guides. And they gave me 33 concepts.
Yes, I have them right here. Yes. Where are they? Wait. I know you have them. They're on your website.
Yes.
Right here.
But
they're on your website.
Yes.
So you can download them from your website. But go ahead, Karen. I just wanted to inform that.
For about 2 years after that, he was coming through about 2 or 3 times a week for each of his family members. And remember, he has 8 children and a wife. So it was wonderful. It was wonderful. He hasn't been coming around lately, but he kind of foretold some of these events during that time. And I said this was written years ago. It was actually written in 2015.
The We Consciousness, the book was written in 2015?
Yeah.
So you had a premonition.
The last election was 2016. Yeah, 2016.
So you wrote the book in 2016 and he guided you to finalize it?
And during that time, it actually was published during that time. And if you look back, you could see some of these things that he foretold are coming to pass.
Hold on one second. Karen, Jim, can you put the photo of the We Consciousness up on the screen for us so that everybody could see exactly what we're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry. We got to talk it through on this, the way that everything's working nowadays.
If I may, I would like to read a few of the passages, just a couple.
Absolutely, positively.
One of them, he said, this is, he was channeling through me. He said, when the majority of the population feels isolated and disconnected from source and from others, this dominant flawed energy acts as a magnet and creates world events that makes everyone feel even more isolated. These negative feelings and events do not resonate with the source within you and make you feel bad when they occur. However, just as a single lit match can illuminate a dark room, if more of you turned on your own light, you'd be able to enlighten and transform the whole world. So what this is saying to me is, at this time, each one of us could be the light and raise the vibration of our planet as we're going through this difficult time.
Right. And if we all do it together, it's so much more powerful.
Oh, absolutely. But if you understand that we are all one, and that's one of the dominant aspects of the we consciousness, the number one is that we are all one. Whatever we do to ourselves or another affects the whole, right? You don't feel that connection when you're here in the physical body because it feels that I'm over here and you're over there, right? After you leave the physical body, you're able to feel that connection in an instant because your body is not separating you from everyone else.
Right.
But if you understand that, whatever you do to yourself or another will raise the vibration or lower the vibration of the planet. So I don't know about you, but I know everyone tuned in today we want to raise our vibration,
right,
and the world as well.
We want to help people to understand that they'll be helping themselves by doing that, no matter what is happening in their lives, whatever's happening. I, because of my stroke, finally had to come to the realization that I could literally take my soul out of my body and go anywhere and do anything. And I guess that's like meditation. where you put yourself in that zone where you're letting go of everything and you are bigger than your body. You're allowing the universe to come together. Am I correct in my patterns?
Perfectly said. We're vibrational beings. We're spirit. This body is just the wrapping paper. That's all it is.
Right.
And I know that without a doubt, and my wish is for everyone to know that as well.
Right. Yeah. So, it's so, our connection, Karen, really was bigger than me finding your book. I tell the story that I was in a really deep, sad place, in an unknown place. I was floating because when I had my stroke and God spoke to me, I didn't know what I was doing or where I belonged. I was in this floating place. I was actually more spiritual than I was earthbound at that particular moment. And I had to understand that to navigate through both of them, to be able to help those on earth understand what they needed to do to help themselves, So I went to Barnes and Noble's that one day, and I, was out of all the books, Karen, in Barnes and Noble's, all the books in the Barnes and Noble's, I went to your book, The Rainbow After the Storm. And I just picked it up, and I really didn't even read it. I just bought it, and I got in the car, and I turned it around, and I saw Karen Noe, Ramsey, New Jersey, and I'm like, oh my God. And I went, but then there's another piece to that you probably don't know, and I never really shared it much, is one day Wayne Dyer was at the Jacob Javits Center in New York. And I went by myself. I was guided to go there. I went by myself, sat in the front row. I don't know how I got seats in the front row.
Wow.
And then he goes, and it was millions of people there. And he said, okay, so I'm going to take a break and I'm going to go down there and meet everybody. I said, okay. So I was the first one online when I went. And then what really amazed me about Wayne Dyer was I said to him, I was rattling, oh my God, I'm going to do a cabaret act and I'm going to do this because I had a stroke. Da, 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 da. He goes, well, let me know. I'd love to come.
Wow.
He never missed a beat. He was so authentic to like yourself. That's why I'm saying it. He was so authentic. And the reason that I know you were authentic was when I first went to you, you brought up Gagaya, my grandfather. And nobody would ever know that name, Gagaya. That's what we used to call him. So I knew that you were authentic. So just the connection of myself and you and Wayne Dyer, it's so powerful, the way that life works. So
absolutely.
So my point in bringing that up, and you actually answered this already, is Wayne Dyer has not mentioned to you, not spoken to you about the situation that we're going through. Do you know of anything?
Now this is yes. He has been coming through for family years ago, but now he comes through only as the group consciousness. So when he's within the group consciousness, it's hard to differentiate him from everyone else.
Right.
It's like Abraham. Did you ever, Esther Hicks, and she
channeled
Abraham?
Yes, I thought.
Group consciousness. So when it comes through, this was all, it's so difficult for people to understand that it's not that God is punishing us. Not at all. It's not that way at all. But what happens is the dominant vibration of the planet has called for the Earth to have a break. So it was kind of a negative. How do I say it in a positive way?
I'm really glad you're addressing that, because as we spoke, and I'll let you finish, as we spoke prior, I wanted to be, we both are very conscious of how we say things so that we're not hurting or bringing negativity in. But go ahead, Karen.
If I may, I just wrote a couple of things about this. If I could let's see if I could pull it up. If I can't, can you still see me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yay, it's working. I cannot. That's okay. And it's called May You Find Your Connection in Your Seclusion. Okay? So I've said many times we are all one. Whatever we do to ourselves or another affects the whole. Prior to this pause in the world, many people had forgotten this important truth. They continue to concentrate on their personal short-term gain rather than how their actions were affecting everyone and everything else. A huge proportion of the population believed that their own country, nationality, race, gender, and even species was a priority at the expense of all others. Many were unwilling to change their lifestyles, and nothing anyone could do or say would change their minds. But then the tipping point came, and their inability to see the truth began to affect our beautiful planet in a big way. Global warming, pollution, extinction of animals and plants, and deforestation became real issues that needed to be resolved now. Right? Diverse nationalities, races, political parties, and others pitted themselves against each other, and tensions began to escalate. In the midst of all this, people still did not see the bigger perspective. So the universe said, enough.
Your cat's just acknowledging what you're saying. Is that your cat?
It's my cat, and she never does that. So
she's just like,
this is important. What I'm saying now, the universe said, enough.
That's she's just acknowledging it.
Mikey.
That's it. That's powerful.
Let me just get her. Okay. So the universe said enough. The whole world needs to stop what it's doing in order for everyone to understand just how much we depend upon each other and how we're all interconnected. And there could be no other way to see the broader perspective.
Right.
And a virus began on one side of the globe and spread throughout the world. Everyone was affected, and life as we knew it had to change.
Go get her. 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 You know, this is just, I think that this is happening because this is just really acknowledging what we're talking about and what we're stating.
Pay attention, right?
Yeah. Attention.
So, almost done. So, for now, hectic schedules had ceased to exist. Factories, offices, schools, churches, malls, parks, and so much more were forced to close down. Blah, blah, blah. People are working from home if they can. Children are being homeschooled whenever possible. Yet those who work at jobs that we depend on for our survival continue to sacrifice their lives for us. And people are being shown how much we need each other. At first, people were frightened, but many learned to continue in a different way. Priorities changed. The health of ourselves and our loved ones are now what matters most. More have been talking to God, and others have been going within to experience the divine. Look at this. Others are taking quiet walks, blah, blah, blah. The sky's been, but for the most part, we're staying inside and behaving ourselves. The skies have become cleaner and bluer. Wildlife that we thought had disappeared has resurfaced. The world remains quieter, and we have become gentler. In many cases, fear has returned to love, and we're finally able to feel our connection to everyone and everything. So yes, even though life as we know it has stopped, life as God knows it is continuing to emerge. In our seclusion, we have found our connection.
Wow, that's powerful, Karen.
That's funny about my cat, but I don't know what that was all about.
Yeah, she was just like saying, are you listening? Are you listening? Are you listening? This is important stuff, you know? Where did you write that, Karen? Where is that posted?
I have it on my website at KarenNoe.com.
Okay.
That's KarenNoe.com. You just go under articles and you'll see it.
I printed something out that something else you've written. I don't know. So we have to, and I think it's important for us for people to be aware that once we kind of flow back in, we can't go back to the way we were. We have to be aware of why this happened. Because if we like people that aren't keeping social distancing, they're hindering the growth and the stream back into the normal life we used to live. And if people kind of go right back to being the way they were and doing all those things that God was not happy with, then are they also preventing the rebirth of the new life?
Not on purpose. They're not seeing how they're affecting everyone else, because sometimes some of us are carriers of the disease. We may not even feel it,
Right.
but if we go out, we could actually affect somebody else. And that's why we're doing this for a short time. We need to do this. And yes, there have been deaths. And yes, it's been horrible and difficult. People have lost their jobs. But what we need to do in the midst of all of this, to see how we could raise the vibration, how we could light our match into this darkness. Because when you turn the light on, right, the darkness goes away. So what can each of us do? How may I serve? What can I do to make a difference in what's going on right now? What can I do? And if each of us did that, we can truly make a difference. And the world doesn't have to go back to what it was before.
You know what I just heard? I just heard that possibly that some people that had extenuating circumstances prior and the elderly are really put at peace, possibly, rather than them having to suffer through this time. Maybe it was their time anyway, you know? It was just taken. What I feel sad about is the fact that some of them had to go by themselves without their families around them. That was the hardest. That was the hardest thing, you know. And maybe that's something that we should all not wait until those moments, till somebody gets sick, to to show the love to those around us.
Exactly, perfectly said. As we were talking about before, after we leave the physical body, right, we feel our connection to everyone and everything. We can actually see. We go through a life review where we're able to see and feel how we've affected each person through the other person's eyes at that point, right? Because we are all one. So if we could take that concept and not wait until we pass, and tell our loved ones, and now here in the physical body, how much we, because a lot of times when people come through in appointments, they say, I should have told you how much I loved you, and now it's too late. I should have done this. I should have, could have, would have, and now it's too late. Do it now. Go through your life review now, see through the other person's eyes, your loved ones, tell them how much they mean to you now. Before
and show them how much you mean.
Yeah.
You're like, don't just say it, show them.
Yeah.
Show them. That's why, I was saying before, as intense as setting up for a show and, just preparation, I always allow my children to come first, my grandson. They want to come over. Okay, I'm not going to say no. I mean, if I have to stay up till 5 a.m, to complete, because time is not ours, right? Time is God's time, So when I need extra time, somehow God allows me not to need sleep that night or not to need sleep the next day. I can get it the next day,
Exactly. Perfect divine order, right?
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about your book, Unconsciousness, because it's got so much information and details, and it really. How is it doing on the market, Karen? Is it doing?
It's doing well. Thank you. Yes. Well, the most important concept of all the 33, as we were talking about before, is that we are all one, and it's difficult for people to understand. But when you get that concept, every single thing you do in this life affects everyone, and everything everyone else does affects you. So the purpose, all we could do right now is to raise our own vibration. And in so doing, we raise the vibration of the whole planet, right? But understand too, that we are just as important as everyone else too, because a lot of times, someone like yourself, light workers, we put everyone else first and we put ourselves last. So we have to remember self-love too.
Right.
Because we can't help anybody else if we don't help ourselves.
Right. And I do. I know I'm in a really good space right now. I mean, it took me over 30 years after my stroke to really understand how to navigate and to work with the spirits and the angels and God and everything too. And that, that really is important. Like, we all have the ability to have a relationship with God and the angels and the other side. We just have to take a step back, which we have now, and rather than be in a fear mode, really value the time that we have to use it in a positive way, but to use it to ask questions,
Yes. And to understand that every single person on Earth, on the planet, in the universe, we're all able to tap into this energy of our loved ones, of the angels, of God, and so forth. It's not just the miracle workers, as we said before.
Right.
We are miracle workers, but to understand, in order to connect with our loved ones, in order to connect with the angels, in order to connect and feel God more, we have to be more on their energy, more on par with their energy, which is up here, which is only love and only peace. And so anytime we're angry, fearful, we're unforgiving, and so forth, we lower our vibration, so we're not able to tune into the vibration of our loved ones, to the angels and so forth. So the only thing we have to do, be happy, raise our vibration, forgive. And I don't care what anybody did to you. I'm not saying to forget and to be abused, but it's that saying that I always say this, it's not the snake bite that kills us. Wayne Dyer used this all the time. It's not the snake bite that kills us, it's the venom that's left behind.
Right.
So by being unforgiving, we're hurting ourselves. We're not just hurting the other person. And then when we forgive, you let go, you allow the love into your heart. And people say it's easier said than done. I know that, but it's well worth your effort.
Right. There's been a lot of stories like that. Like one that comes to my mind is someone that the daughter or son was killed by, an inmate, and they actually went to the prison to forgive them, so that they could both heal and move on, because they weren't able to move on. I always say life is not an easy road. It's hard, and that's why I just do what I do. Trying to. Oh, is that Jim? Was that something you wanted to show? Oh, so and I know that's why we all do what we do. Trying to bring love to people. So I know we spoke about it, but we only have a few more minutes, Karen, and I want to end the show with really reminders to, our audience, of what they should be doing now, because sometimes people, like, I'll clip this and I will make this a prime, segment, so that people could really bring hope to them. So share a reminder to our audience about what they should be doing right now, or what they can be doing.
The most important thing is their willingness to stay in spirit, the willingness to monitor your thoughts and monitor what you're saying and thinking. And if you're posting on Facebook, post positive, loving thoughts so it doesn't spread to the fear. Pray, meditate. Praying is talking to God and the angels. Meditating is listening. And in any relationship, you need to listen as well as to speak, right? Practice forgiveness. Be grateful. All of these things. You're saying you may be saying that, though, but how can you do all these things with what all is going on? How can you not do all these things? Because whatever you're tapping into, you're spreading more of, right? It's, how do I say? Okay. So if you want to turn into 3200 FM, but you're tuned into 1300 AM, you will not get that signal. So in order to feel God and to feel the angels, you want to raise your vibration. So be willing to tap into spirit, forgive, be compassionate, and all of that.
Wow.
Focus on solutions. And how can I say in the morning, every morning when I wake up, how may I serve? How may I serve? And then the universe works in ways to conspire to service us as well.
Right. And when we, and this is what I try to do as work on, is to be appreciative of the things I do have right now, the simple things in life, the simple times I get to share with my children, the simple that I get up in the morning healthy, the simple that I could walk. There's a lot of simple things, the simple thing that we're able to connect via internet right now. That's a blessing. There's so many blessings. The fact that I have food on my table. A lot of people don't have food on their table. My sister and I were just talking yesterday. We see those long food lines. I mean, it's just heartbreaking. People should not go hungry. People should not go hungry. So my sister and I are going to start cooking for people. We're gonna I can make, I used to own a cafe, so I can make a huge pot of soup. I mean, it does, I don't have a lot of money, but at least it's a way that I could put food on somebody's table, because we have to do something, like you said, we have to do something. And that's, aside from singing, which is another thing I'm going to do later on, and I always do online, is lift the vibrations with music. Music is so important to people. So it brings a lot of joy, it brings a lot of remembrance, and brings a lot of feelings into what you're doing. So it's such a blessing to be able to share music. Do you see a lot? Do you watch Facebook a lot? Do you see all the streaming of music on?
Oh, absolutely. People are singing. I didn't catch yesterday on TV, but I saw all the groups, the bands were joining together online.
Yes. Oh my God.
Did you?
And yes, I watched it. And the end was perfect.
What was
perfect.
The end?
Dion, Andrea Bocelli,
John
Legend, and what's her name? She's the biggest in the world, one of the biggest. Oh my God.
Celine?
No, there's she did The Star Is Born with she just did A Star Is Born. Anyway,
Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga.
Right.
Yes, they did the prayer.
Oh, I'm sure I Google that. See,
it was
wow.
So empowering, so empowering. So, and that's a song that I always sing privately because I need someone to sing it with. But it's such a song of hope and prayer, and really you're asking. You're not telling. You're asking God for the help. You're asking Him. So it really is a very important. Music is so important. Music. That's why my foundation is called The Language of Love. Music is a language of love, and it brings hope to everybody. So. Karen, I am so happy that you took the time to share your thoughts on what we need to be doing. You are such a gift because you're so true to yourself and you're so authentic, and you do it such from a kind, loving way. You really are guided. So I can't thank you enough for doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much for having me on, and continue to do what you're doing. Thank you.
Yes. So I will talk to you soon. And is there anything that you want coming to you that you would like to end the show with? Or I never want to close out unless I give my guests the last words.
Oh, I would just tell everybody to shine their light on the world right now. We need you all.
Great words. So I always blow our kisses. So on 3, because I know you can't see me, we're going to blow kisses. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. And we hope that this has brought a little bit of light to you. We hope that you will, from this second on, take the opportunity to go down a new path, start a new road. You could bring people with you on that new road, but it's time to turn the corner and go down a new road so that we could all live the joy that we so deserve. So Karen, on 3, 1, 2, 3. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you later. God bless. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
estoy perdiendo. Yo no sé lo que va a pasar. No me puedes escuchar, llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír llorar. El día que caminaste por la puerta, todas las memorias fueron. Mi corazón está vacío, como si tuviera ayer. No me puedes escuchar, llorar solo sin ti. Mi corazón está sufriendo. No me puedes escuchar, llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír llorar. Usted está en mi sueño por la noche. Por favor, no peleemos. Y es tan difícil para mí y para ti. Yo, ¿qué puedo hacer? No me puedes escuchar, llorar solo sin ti. Mi corazón está sufriendo. No me puedes escuchar, llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír llorar. No me puedes escuchar, llorar solo sin ti. Mi corazón está sufriendo. No me puedes escuchar, llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír